In this lesson, we'll sketch our first caricature of actor Michael Cera. So we've already spent a couple of lessons sketching two different caricatures for actor Nicolas Cage. So just to look at those one more time, here's our first caricature of Nick Cage, and here's our second. So as I look at both of those, they both feel like Nicolas Cage. They both look like Nicolas Cage. I feel like I've captured his essence, but I've executed each one of these caricature drawings differently, okay? And so that's really what this course is about, is just being able to exercise the fact that there's no one way to sketch a caricature of someone. It all comes down to what are some facial features or just physical features that you want to really draw emphasis to, and how far you exaggerate those features will really allow you to define it, in addition to other features that you may want to simplify. And also keep in mind spatial relationships and visual contrast. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in this lesson. But looking here at Michael Cera, I'm already starting to think about some defining characteristics that really stand out to me. I feel like he has a very round head, a very circular head. So I want to play that up. He also has really large eyes and a pretty good sized mouth. So those are three immediate facial features that stand out to me, and I really want to play those up. So I'm just going to start out just as I did in the past two lessons, just blocking in some simple forms, some simple shapes. I like the idea of his head just being, again, very circular, and to really play up the idea that his head is large and in charge, I want it to kind of taper off into a neck, okay? I really don't want his jaw to be too defined. Doesn't really feel like he has a strong jaw. It just feels like it kind of tapers in. So I'm going to push that and just kind of have it almost run into his neck, okay? Now you want to think about spatial relationships, okay? The amount of real estate you dedicate to an area can really affect another area. So I want his eyes to appear really large. I'm working in some kind of oval shapes for where I want the eyes to be. And so the amount of real estate I want to dedicate to the nose is going to be a little bit less. So the relationship, the spatial relationship of the nose to the eyes will be that the nose is going to appear a lot smaller to really allow those eyes to really stand out on their own. Okay, so I'm kind of working in an oval shape just for the overall kind of bridge of the nose, and then kind of a couple of smaller oval shapes just for the nostrils there. And then I mentioned his mouth is pretty large, and so I kind of want to think about maybe having it just right about there. So there you have it, what seems to already look like some sort of alien. So, but, you know, in a way, I think our end result may look very alien-like. We're going to give him a big head, as I mentioned, and very large eyes. So let's kind of start off with the eyes. I think that'll be fun. So just kind of starting to kind of nail those down, kind of line them out. He's got very dark eyes, okay? You almost can't differentiate between the pupils and the iris. And so I might want to do a little hatching eventually in those eyes. Right now I'm just kind of trying to nail down just the overall form. He kind of has these kind of almond-shaped kind of eyes, so I'm kind of trying to capture that shape as well. All right. And he has some pretty strong pouches under his eyes, so I definitely kind of want that in there as well. And then I can just kind of start to think about just those pupils, kind of working them in, and then just some overall hatching in there. I feel like he's got some pretty dark eyes. And if you look at his eyebrows, they're very minimal, almost non-existent. And so I just kind of want some very faint, simple little hatch lines, and they kind of point downward. They're angled kind of downward, kind of pointing right towards the top part of the bridge of that nose. Now let's kind of focus on the nose just a little bit. Again, I don't want the nose to be really large for this caricature design. However, in the next one, we may change that up. So as I do this, I'm just kind of looking at the overall kind of outline of the bottom of his nose right there, kind of trying to capture that shape right there. And then for his lips, he's got just some really interesting kind of, I don't even know what you call it, like turtle-like lips. And I like kind of how they're shaped right here, just the way he's smiling. They're not perfectly symmetrical. I think we can kind of play that up just a little bit. Get some of those smile lines in there just faintly. But let's kind of shift gears now and start to focus just more on really defining the head. Again, he doesn't have a really strong jaw. I want it to kind of just run into his neck. Okay. And I don't really want to connect the line to the rest of his jaw for the chin there. The line for the chin, I want to keep it kind of separated to kind of help really push that illusion. And then just kind of roughing in some hair up here, just kind of a big poof of hair that he has on his head. But already as I look at this, I'm really starting to kind of get a feel of the character. I think, again, just as I mentioned, the big focus here is just those eyes. You got those piercing eyes and just the large head. And we'll kind of work in kind of a hint of his ears right there as well. And often when you do caricatures, if you're going to show, kind of the remainder part of the body, I usually kind of make the body smaller. If you were to flesh out more of what the upper body looks like, usually I make it smaller just so to really kind of keep the focus on the head, because that's where a lot of the personality is going to be presented. All right, so again, the spatial relationship is really important for this one. Just kind of, we made the nose a little bit smaller, draw more attention to the eyes. We've made the head larger, the neck smaller. Okay, and so it's that balancing act that you really have to play when you're kind of coming up with a caricature design like that. And then just the visual contrast. Okay, so the reason I didn't make the nose really large, because I felt like it would compete with the mouth and the eyes, and so just having it smaller as well gives you some contrast in the design. Okay, but I'm liking how this is looking. I think it's a lot of fun. I feel like I'm starting to get a feel of his personality here. In our next lesson, we'll go ahead and do another caricature of Michael Cera, and we'll see how we can make it look just completely different, focusing on some other facial features and how we might want to exaggerate them differently. So stick around. We'll see you then.